Hello, hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Michelle Thornton. We talk all things life, love, spirituality, law of attraction, and all of that juicy goodness. We are moving on to another chapter of my book called Navigating Grief and the Unknown, which I wrote in memory of my daughter and my dad. My daughter passed back in 2012 and my dad passed in 2021. They both passed away from respiratory failure. My dad passed from lung cancer, and my daughter passed from a muscle disorder that wasn't diagnosed until 6 months after she had passed from a muscle biopsy from her quadricep muscle. This type of myopathy was super rare. There was a 1 in 50,000 chance of a baby being born with it. I believe there were only 2 cases in the US. And what was so cool, not cool, but kind of cool, there was a mom from Australia who had a daughter with the same muscle disorder. And unfortunately, she passed away, and she had found my blog somehow. And she messaged me and was like, "Oh my gosh, Michelle, I went through the same thing. How rare is this that we both had babies and we found each other?" So that was the beginning of all the synchronicities and all the cool connections that I've experienced post-loss. But this ebook that I wrote is in memory of my daughter and my dad, and it's about equipping you with the tools that you might need or your loved one might need who's going through a tough loss, and giving you the tools of what worked for me. I'm not saying it'll work for everybody. I'm not a licensed therapist or grief counselor, but these things worked for me. And it's something that I look back on and I say, man, I wish I would have known this back then. But obviously that was my path, was to learn it and to be on my knees, figuring out, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? How do I move through this? How do I sit with this? How do I breathe each day? I remember having this artwork in my house for years, and it literally just said, just breathe. Because the loss of anybody is tough, but obviously losing a child is very, very difficult. I don't wish it upon anybody, but breathing in every moment is the most important piece. And I'm not talking about breath work breathing. I'm talking about just literally breathing and reminding yourself you're human. You've been through something really, really tough, whether it's the loss of a child, a best friend. It doesn't matter. It's a soul connection, and your heart is aching because you want more experiences with your loved one. You want what you can't have. And you've had so many memories with them, and you want to feel it again. And for me, I grieve what I didn't have. I don't know what my daughter would have looked like. And I get emotional like at different stages of when I talk about certain things, but I really crave to know like what she would have looked like. A lot of people have children because you're like, oh, I want to create this little human to see if they look like us and how they behave, and who has my husband's traits, or who has my, if you're a wife or a husband, you just want to know what this soul coming into earth is going to, what earth suit they're picking, and what's their mission going to be. That's the stuff that I grieve. But then I have to take a higher perspective and say, well, her soul chose to come here for 6 weeks to wake me up to my mission. And I believe her and I have a soul contract where we agreed that she would leave and I would be then left to do the mission on earth in the 3D plane and spread love, spread kindness, help people find their special gift, help people move through their grief. And here I am. I've made it. 10 years later, I finally feel at peace in my life. I feel like I understand it all. And that doesn't mean the grief goes away. And that's what I want to teach here in this podcast, on my YouTube channel. It doesn't go away. It's still here. It's still heavy on my heart. I've just learned these tools that I'm going to share with you in this book on how to work with it and how to see it as a gift, and how to really savor the fact that your grief is showing you your capacity to love. And that's what we came to this earthly plane for. We came here to feel. We're in these bodies to taste, to smell, to touch, to love, to grieve, and to feel the whole spectrum of emotions and experiences. So drop your shoulders, take a deep breath with me, in through your nose, out through your mouth. We're going to read the chapter on how grief is a gift. So this is a beautiful, positive message in this chapter. So here we go. And thank you so much for being here. Give it a like, share it, send it to anybody that might be grieving in your network, in your community, in your family. Hopefully this will help them. Grief is your greatest teacher. And like I said, this is chapter 6, part 1. Grief is the ultimate gift. And this ebook is available on my website. If you would like to support me and purchase it, go ahead over there. Everything is in the description box below. All right, here we go. Grief is your greatest teacher. It is a gift. The lessons that you gather through the grieving process cannot be matched anywhere else. What you are gaining from this devastating process is priceless. You are being called to reach down into the deepest parts of your heart and feel every ounce of the heartbreak. That dive takes bravery and mass amounts of courage. I remember sitting on my living room floor years after my loss, sobbing uncontrollably because I didn't understand how I could still feel so much pain so many years later. And I have a very vivid memory of that day of just not understanding it, because what I'm about to read next was a pivotal point in my journey. It took mass amounts of awareness for me to get to this point, and a lot of feeling and a lot of purging. So if you can't quite grasp this concept just yet and see it from this perspective, that's okay. Take it or leave it, okay? Anything that you're hearing me read here, if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Maybe in time it will, maybe it never will, okay? So follow the promptings of your body and your heart. Okay, where was I? Okay, it says, this is when, so how could I still feel so much pain so many years later? This is when I realized that prior to my loss, I didn't know what love was. I then began crying with so much joy because I felt so blessed to be able to experience this type of love. This is what the human experience is all about. We came here to feel everything. Once we surrender to that, the pain subsides a little more. We feel honored and special to feel something so profound. It truly is a gift. At this time, I would like to share some of the beautiful gifts that came from my personal experience with grief. Number 1, gratitude for all things. I learned that anything can be taken from us. My heart began to pause and appreciate the small moments, simple texts from loved ones, connecting to strangers, music, laughter, a warm breeze, nature, sunsets, sunrises, seeing children laugh and play. That's one of my favorites. Yummy food in my belly. This state of being feels like bliss. I am so grateful I learned this. Number 2, forgiveness. We can forgive others when we can see their pain. Hurt people hurt people. When we can step back and see that it has nothing to do with us, we can effortlessly offer forgiveness. If we hold on to the idea that their words cause us pain, then we are drinking poison and expecting them to die. We must forgive them and ourselves. We are not perfect, neither are they. Let it go. Number 3, self-love. Always checking in with myself, asking myself what feels good and what doesn't. Consistently nurturing my inner child, staying dedicated to my self-care routine for my mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. Number 4, this is one of my favorites, joy. Creating a joy list was something that saved me when I began to suffer from anxiety. I would feel the fear of someone else in my world dying, and then I would take out my joy list and distract myself with it. It was gold. Here are some of the things on my joy list. Hanging with my nieces and my nephews. In parentheses, I have lots of laughing. We used to belly laugh so hard to so many different things. Joy rides in my Jeep, an easy workout, a bath, yummy restaurant food, intuitive card readings, listening to audiobooks, podcasts, and helping someone else in their grief. Those are just a few of the things on my joy list. Number 5, stillness. A meditation practice has brought me the most incredible gift of all, the ability to connect to my heart and what's best for me. It also forced me to be in the present moment, which can soothe our anxiety. Anxiety is when you are living in a fear of the future or a fear of the past repeating itself. This was so freeing. Being still allows you the time and space to let the emotional trauma slowly exit your heart. This might look like walking, laying down, traditional meditation, mantras, baths, being in nature, journaling, solo drives, etc. Awareness is key on the healing journey. Number 6, being present with children. After losing my daughter, I started to see children as precious little gifts. I realized the importance of loving them and making sure they feel seen and heard. I learned a few practices that help me show up for all children. I make strong eye contact and I don't speak until they are done. I also ask them if they have anything else they want to share. This offers them time and space to be fully seen and heard. This is something all humans need. Children respond so beautifully when we do this for them. It's like we are satisfying a craving in their heart. Number 7, appreciation for nature. This is a natural cleanse for our energy. It's a must do. It immediately removes the heavy weight grief can carry. I encourage you to get outside every single day, even if it is just for 10 minutes. Do it. Nature heals our soul. It makes the grief feel so tiny. Number 8, learning how to listen. Being present for others, looking in their eyes, listening to their pain or joy, having compassion, asking them to share more, asking them deeper questions to allow them to be seen and heard. This is a whole new level of partnership and compassion. My grief showed me that everyone has a story and we all deserve to be heard regardless. Listening is an art. Number 9, always asking the big questions like why. Encourage others to dive deep into themselves. Ask yourself the same big questions. Get to know yourself. This will transform your life. Begin to build a relationship with yourself. Ask yourself, why do I do that? Where did I adopt that habit? Why did I say that? How can I be better? Where can I be better? Self-reflection is life-changing because it is where growth can happen. Number 10, learning how to cleanse your energy. Shifting energy is a must on a healing journey. It's important to feel the grief, but it's also important to know when to shift out of it. Your body has an energetic field around it. Your grief can suffocate your energy. You can cleanse it in nature through exercise, burning sage, a salt bath, lavender spray, Palo Santo incense, selenite, and other crystals. All of these methods can help us feel lighter so we can still function throughout our day. Number 11, seeing and honoring the grief when it arrives and ask for help. This is vital. If we ignore our pain and numb it with food, excessive working out, alcohol, distractions, sex, shopping, etc., it will only breed more pain, addiction, and disease. It is so important to sit with the feelings and reach out to someone, maybe a mentor, a family member, a friend, support group, etc. Having someone sit with us, holding space for us, and seeing us in our pain is transformative. Call for help when you need it. Be kind to yourself by giving your heart the time and space it needs to heal. Number 12, honoring other people's boundaries and setting our own. Everyone should have boundaries, and it is up to us to set them. It starts with listening to our bodies and our hearts. If we don't have the energy to go somewhere, then we shouldn't go. When you honor your own boundaries, you then understand why others are setting their own. What's even better is that when you begin to set your own boundaries, you offer permission for others to do the same. They learn by watching you. What a beautiful lesson to share. Number 13, movement is medicine. Your body is energy. It holds on to painful events from your past. This trauma holds a certain vibration. That lower vibration gets stored in our tissue. We must move, shake, bounce, stretch, or dance it out daily. This is a must. Disease will build if we don't release the energy from our physical form. We will continue to feel daily discomfort and our immune systems will suffer. Movement is key. Number 14, our thoughts create our reality. What we think about becomes our belief systems, and our beliefs influence our actions, and our actions create the life we are currently living. So in order to change our current reality, we must first change our thoughts. Awareness is key. Having a stillness practice helps us see these thoughts, and then we can flip the script and create a better, more enjoyable reality for ourselves. Number 15, being loyal and reliable. Standing in your truth and always being trustworthy starts from within. You have to start being honest with yourself. Here are some questions. Am I following through on the things I say I will do? Am I keeping my own promises? Am I keeping things confidential when a friend or coworker asks me to? Am I showing up on time? Am I nurturing others who often nurture me? These are all questions we need to be asking ourselves in order to take inventory of our lives. Once we have the answers, we can then take action to transform. We need more honesty in our world. We need stability. It starts with each of us. Once we master becoming our own loyal best friend, everyone else will feel that stability and trustworthiness. You will emanate an energy of safety. You honor and trust yourself, and in return, others honor and trust you. Number 16, awareness of our toxic patterns. My grief brought to the surface all the ways I was self-sabotaging my own happiness in my life. Due to my journaling practice, I began to see how my childhood patterns kept me unfulfilled. They kept me from having stable, healthy, reciprocal, loving relationships. Here is an example of one of my old patterns. I found myself always abandoning myself to please others. I had learned that if I please others and help them regulate their emotions, then I would be accepted and loved. This kept me consistently focused outside of myself. I was always asking myself, what do they need to be happy? Instead of, what do I need? In fact, I actually had no idea what I needed or who Michelle was. Through my grief, I discovered over 40 different toxic patterns that I had to unlearn. I will soon be sharing them in an ebook as well. These patterns hindered my capacity to love myself. It was like I was wearing a costume. I wasn't living my life. I was playing a role for others, constantly seeking external approval. Once I identified my patterns, my life changed. I took off the mask I had been wearing my whole life. The healing began. The unlearning takes dedication and hard work, but it is worth it. I have my grief to thank for that. It brought me home into my heart. What a gift. All right, lovies, that is the end of How Grief is the Ultimate Gift. Part 2 is Finding the Magic. So I will be reading that in our next podcast, in our next video. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed that. I am sending you so much love. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Send this to anybody who you think might need it. All right, lovies, have a wonderful day.